17 years ago in a few months, I woke up on a Sunday morning, put on a button-down shirt, decent pair of slacks and shoes, and left Collegeville, Minnesota, and drove up to the Cathedral. I had in my hands a letter saying that in just a few weeks I would be the new parochial administrator here at the Cathedral. I was going to be assigned with this guy named Father Ed Mullimans. And I thought I needed to come and check out the place. I got here a little bit earlier. You remember in those days there were 4 masses, and I got here about, 9:45. And anyway, church was mostly empty, and so I kind of walked in, and I was just kind of doing looking and checking it out. I was working my way down this aisle, and a woman came up to me, and she said, "Hello, welcome." I said, "Hi." She said, "You're a priest, aren't you?" I was busted. I didn't even have the Sin Fighter suit on. I said, "I'm going to be. In 2 weeks. I'm going to get ordained, and then I'm assigned here." Those of you who've been here a long time, it was Gene Conley, the organist, for many, many years at Cathedral. And we struck up a conversation, and we visited, and I will always remember that on my very first encounter in this space, a friendly face came and spoke to me. Over the years, because you don't get many chances as a priest, when I'd be on vacation, I admit I spy. I put on a button-down shirt, a decent pair of slacks, and I go to a church because I want to pray. But I want to pray from where you sit. And I want to sit in the pew, and I want to watch how do people interact. Because it's very different from the moment that you're on that side of the sanctuary from this side. And as I go, I'm watching. How do people treat each other? What's the spirit in the house? Is it prayerful? Is it warm? Is it energetic? And I got to tell you, most of the time, I have some really amazing experiences when I visit other churches, and they don't know I'm a priest. It's pretty neat. Of course, there are always horror stories. But the fact is, in light of the scripture readings today, Isaiah, St. Paul, and Jesus all have these encounters where it's talking about how does God reach out to all people? And how does a house of prayer become a house of prayer for all who come to it? Today, I'd like to draw out just a couple of things for us to keep in mind, because there's something special here at Cathedral. And I think that we do welcoming and hospitality pretty well. But I think it's one of those things, and you're going to hear more from me about this in the weeks to come, but there's always an important, I think, reminder about what it's like whenever we've been a visitor or a guest, and how does it feel when we are warmly welcomed into a unique space that's not our own. First, for all of us, what's our general attitude towards people who come in and sit around us? And it can be as simple as, do we smile? I kid you not, sometimes, you can walk into a place and you kind of get that, perimeter fence. This is my space. This pew, that pew, and the pew behind me, it's mine. But when people are coming in, and they don't know that you've sat in that general area for 42 years, and some of you have sat in that general area for 42 years, do people feel welcomed? Sure, come on, we'll make room. It's that general spirit of openness, welcoming, inviting. That spirit happens in our faces, it happens in our gestures, it happens in the tone of our voice. But it's a fundamental disposition that says, you are my neighbor, you are my brother, you are my sister, you are my friend, and you are, for this hour, part of our Cathedral family. Welcome. We're in this together. The second thing is there are times during the Mass where we really get this chance. The sign of peace is there for a reason, to actually go and greet the people around us and say, peace be with you, and mean it. There's a reason why, before most Masses at Cathedral, I purposely have us stand up and introduce ourselves. to take a moment to actually have a chance to greet, speak, and introduce, to actually say our names. It's so important, I think, that we recognize that when we're praying, it's not just me and Jesus, it's us and Jesus in this together. So to get to know, just for a moment, who are those people around me with whom I get to pray. So if there's an openness, a general attitude, if there's some specific times in the Mass, this third one is really important to me. You have my permission always at church, if someone does not look like they're feeling well, to go to them and say, "Excuse me, are you okay? Can I help you? Is there anything you need?" I think that one of the most fundamental signs of Christian charity is when we recognize that someone is struggling, suffering, have a difficult moment, that we reach out to them and say, "Are you okay? Do you need anything? Fresh air, glass of water?" Now, most of the time people say, "No, I'm fine." Even when they don't mean it, they might say that. But here's the thing. Did they know that somebody went to them? Did they know that somebody took the time to say, "I noticed. Can I help?" You have my permission to go to any member of the Cathedral family and say, "Hey, you okay?" And by the way, that extends by definition to all of those who for an hour are part of our family. How we reach out to someone in their need is a big deal. So general attitude, specific moments, care for those when they're struggling. And here's the last one for today. Please. Have you ever had that moment when you have met somebody and you know you got their name and then you forgot it, and then you feel very awkward because you want to be able to call them by name, but you can't remember. So you're really going to just kind of drag it out and hope that eventually their name will come back out again so that you don't have to look like a fool. You know who you are. You all get to cheat. You get to call me Father. Yeah, laugh it up. You know, a long time ago I had to get over this. Because it's not just to remember somebody, but it's the speed of the recall. Somebody comes up to you right now I once forgot my grandfather's name. I kept calling him Grandpa. I couldn't think of George. This is something that we have to get over. And it's that natural awkwardness and sometimes embarrassment to simply say, "Please excuse me, I know this, I'm having a moment, please tell me your name again." How often does it happen that we've been coming to church sitting in the same spot for years, and we know those people. They go to our church, I know where they sit, I see them all the time, I smile, they smile, I don't know their name. Or I knew their name once and I forgot, and I'm not gonna. Please do that. You are my brother, you are my sister, you are my neighbor, you are my friend. When we can get over that, we have really and truly grown in what it means to be family. Because maybe I've forgotten for a moment. Okay, I've forgotten. But it's more important that I know you than that I have to always look like I've got my stuff together. It's more important that you know that I care and I want to try to get your name down than for me to just look like, "Oh yeah, he just knows." Hospitality, welcoming, they're all important because they show respect for the dignity of a person. When we care about others, when we reach out to others, when we take the time for others who are struggling, when we take the time to try to get a name right, it's only saying, "I value who you are as a son or daughter of God. We're in it together. We walk together. God calls us together. And in that unity, we are strong." It's part of being the family. And the beauty that we have here, folks, and there's something precious here, needs to be shared. So that the stranger, the visitor, the guest, not only feel welcomed, but know that God's Spirit that we celebrate here is shared with all.